right. So thank you so much, Miss Miranda. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to be able to interview you about your app. So go ahead and tell us, share with the audience, what is this RemindEd app all about?
Yes. So RemindEd is an acronym for the real McCoy, and of course, my daughter. The real McCoy individualized education. That's the acronym. And my daughter McCoy is a person with an intellectual disability. And we have always had trouble with her IEP. And my plan to solve this problem was to become a substitute teacher. It's like, I will become a substitute teacher. I'll get in there. I'll figure it all out. I will learn what's going on with her IEP. I'll communicate with the other members of the team, and we can all work together to help McCoy. And as you know, that was a terrible plan. I barely got a chance to spend any time with any of the other members of her IEP team. And I didn't accomplish that goal, but I did learn a lot about the education system. And I learned a lot about communication. I learned a lot about how, like, I felt isolated as a special education parent. Mm-hmm. And substitute teaching at the schools helped me to realize that the special education teachers also feel isolated or set apart from the general education teachers, because I would notice when we would come to meetings, mm-hmm. that they would be sharing information as if they didn't work in the same building. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And like, for a team to function well, there mm-hmm. has to be communication. And the only way to effectively communicate is using technology when you considered everyone is in their different locations, right. You consider time constraints. And I was just determined to do two things: help to improve the IEP communication process, as well as make myself a legitimate member of the team. It's like the parents feel like we're on the like, this is the team and we're on the outside. And so in order for us to be actual team members, we have to be a part of the communication process. So that's what the app does. It improves communication between all members of the IEP team. And the tagline is that it creates a virtual village around each student. And we know that it takes a village to raise our kiddos, especially our kiddos who have special needs.
Yeah, thank you. That sounds really, really good. So let me just ask, is it just for a specific exceptionality, or is it for all special education students?
It's for anyone with a 504 or an IEP.
Okay, awesome. So how does it work with the school system? How does your app, how does it work per se with the school system? Because they already have they already have a system where, IEPs are uploaded in the system and everything. So how would your app actually work with that?
Well, the only problem with that is that the parents don't have access to that information. We're not privy to that information, and that information isn't communicated. Like, communication doesn't take place on that information among the IEP team. Okay. So it's really looking at the IEP team like a corporate board, for example. Like a corporate board, they meet and they communicate. And they communicate around the document. Most of the time, the document is the board papers. And so for the special education department or special education community, that document is the IEP. And so communication will take place around the goals.
Okay.
And so it's like a text message, like this ongoing text messages that are connected to the goals. And then that way everyone is aware of what's happening with this particular teacher, this particular subject, as it relates to this IEP goal. And then of course the parents have this information, and the parents can also share what's happening at home, like during meal times, during the daily living skills that take place at home, the shopping at home. Those are like what happens outside of the classroom is very relevant to those IEP goals. And so everyone on the team needs to be aware of the goals. Now, as the CEO of RemindEd, the challenge that I'm facing is connecting the IEP, like integrating the IEP to those platforms that house the IEP at the schools.
Okay.
So there has to be this integration process that takes place, and that integration process has to be like seamless. And so I'm currently looking for a CTO, someone with the technical skills to connect whatever platform that houses the IEP to the app. And the app will create the team, the IEP team, and of course connect them in terms of each goal and their comments, the information that they share based on those goals. And that information will also help to generate new IEPs or update the IEPs. It'll help to confirm what are the accommodations and modifications. It will confirm whether those things are actually working or some changes need to take place. The idea is to update this 30, it's like the IEP communication process is more than 30 years old, and no one has ever taken the time, no one has ever taken the time to update it. And so the person that I'm looking for to be my chief technical officer has to have the technical skills, obviously, but this person also has to have a passion and some type of connection to the community, because this is a labor of love.
Yeah, it is. Because you have basically, because of your daughter, this was how it was birthed, because of your daughter's needs and wanting to be able to help her with her needs. So basically the from what I'm getting is this is an ongoing communication. It's kind of like you're at a table communicating, but you're not there in person, but you're having this ongoing communication with all team members. Am I correct?
That's correct. And the communication is connected to the IEP goals. Like recently, McCoy got a report card. She got all A's and a B. And my mother was like, how did she get an A in math when she struggles with the addition symbol and the subtraction symbol? She's like, how did that happen? I was like, we're going to have to talk about that. Like,
we're going to have to communicate, right?
The communication process. And for a parent who with a student who has an IEP, like the report card, like what does the report card truly mean to us? We are interested in the IEP goals, like where is my child as it relates to the goals? What do you need me to do at home to help her with the goals? How can I share with you what's going on here at home so you'll know that she's capable, even to just have those that conversation is like, hey, McCoy, your mom told me you went to the grocery store and you were able to read the numbers on the cereal boxes. So I know that you can read these numbers right now. your mom has told me, so I need you to focus and give me your best effort. You know what I mean? And so,
Yes.
but if the parent, I mean, if the teacher, the general education teacher, as well as the special education teacher, if they're not aware of what's happening with her outside of the classroom, they don't know that it's okay to encourage her a little bit more. It's okay to push her a little bit more in those areas, because you've been communicating with the parent, and the parent has confirmed, like, yes, she is capable of stepping up her level of engagement with whatever the class assignment might be. But again, that only takes place through consistent, regular communication. And it's there, just like you would say, send a text message to someone. The text message is there, it's time stamped, and every person, the general education, the diagnostician, whomever comments on it, that's also time stamped there. So everyone knows that this piece of information that relates to this IEP goal, we all have it. We're all aware of it.
Okay, well, that sounds really, really good. That sounds good. Now, what is the how has it been in terms of the success rate? How has it been in your with your app?
It's been challenging. It's really difficult. It's a bootstrapping type of situation, as it is for many female entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs of color. Many of us bootstrap, and I think that's a good thing, because the work that we do is hard work. Like, there is passion, there's a motivation, that we are solving problems. I saw a problem, I saw a need, and so I'm solving that problem. I'm using technology. And so that makes it just makes it all the more difficult when you're bootstrapping. So I would have to find a CTO who was willing to work prior to landing the pilot program. So we would work together to land that program, and I've even been thinking about grant writing, because I targeted other entrepreneurs, women who are founders of charter schools, because typically a woman who's the founder of a charter school, she is also solving a problem. It's an area where there's a need to have improved a better education system, to improve the area in some way, to help with the grades and things like that. And so she needs to connect to her community in a way. And she also needs to make the community aware, like, this is my charter school. Yes, we're new. Yes, we're small, but we have something that your local public school doesn't have, or the private school doesn't have. We have this app service that connects us to your to the community. Now, in that way, RemindEd is a DEI tool.
Okay.
Yes, diversity, equity, and inclusion, because when a female founder founds a charter school, they're typically very small, very few students. So in that way, you're able to create an IEP for every student, even the general education students, because I am a firm believer that every child should have an IEP, because everyone is a
learns different.
Everyone
Yes.
has unique learning style, and everyone has their set of teachers. They all have their group of 5 or 6 teachers, and it would be beneficial if the art teacher knew what was going on, maybe in the music class or in the history class, if they could connect the boxes in terms of like maybe what they're studying in history, what they're writing in